There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. That guy over there, Tim Dennis. This is Supernatural News Parashare. We've got strange news from around the world, your stories, and a brand new episode of Theater of the Mind. That comes up a little bit later on in today's program. But let's begin, Tim.
All right.
Let's begin by throwing a challenge out to our listeners.
Okay.
We want to hear your stories. Pick up the phone. You have no reason not to call. It's free. 651-300-4977. 651-300-4977. Call that number. Tell us your ghost story. You have 3 minutes to tell us a weird supernatural experience. Bigfoot, ghosts, UFOs, Ouija board, demons, angels, whatever you want to tell us. Call and tell us your story. But Dave, it'll take longer than 3 minutes. Hang up at the end of your call right back, pick up where you left off, continue on with your story. Tim will knit them together, and we will air them on an upcoming episode. Or you can email me, dave@darknessradio.com, and I will read your stories and your questions and your thoughts here on the program. And for those of you that really want to take extra time in writing to us and put them in nice paragraphical ways, paragraphical, Tim, is that a word? If not, I own it.
Well,
Paragraphical. Anyway, if you write them nicely, you've spell checked and you've written it as a narrative with a little sound effect ideas in mind, and you're telling your real story, but you're dipping a little deeper and you create a story that's anywhere between, 2 to 3 pages long, we will read it and present it as an upcoming Theater of the Mind. That'll be on an upcoming episode as well. Here's our first email today, Tim. Are you ready? Should we dive into an email?
I'm ready.
Hi, Dave and Tim.
Hi.
Hi. About 20 or so years ago, when I was right out of college, I worked for a program that provided tutoring and advising to local high school students who would be the first in their families to attend college. A couple nights a month, the students would come to campus for tutoring. We would have college students available to help, and students who did not need tutoring could work on things like resumes or financial literacy worksheets. One evening, during spring semester, 2 seniors who were paired together on their senior psychology research paper asked me if they could give their test to students who were attending the study lesson. I said, sure, if other students are willing and as long as they aren't disruptive. The 2 students were recreating a famous ESP test. That's extrasensory perception, in case people don't know, Tim.
Oh.
Where they had a deck of cards with geometric shapes and symbols on one side, blank on the other. The students would lay 5 cards face down and ask their subjects to tell them what was on the other side. The students wanted me to take the test as soon as they got to the session, but I expressed razzing skepticism and encouraged them to give the test to other students first, and then I might consider taking the test. I might have even said something like, only you 2 wackos would come up with this. Their test was mostly not disruptive. Every now and again, I could hear exclamations of, you got one, or you got 2. But they were conducting a real study, so they weren't really screwing around. Within about 30 minutes left in the session, the students came to me and said it was my turn. As I got up from my desk, I thought to myself, you're going to get all of these right and blow their minds, and no more work is going to get done here tonight. I went over to the table and made them explain what they were doing and clarified what kinds of shapes were on the other sides of the cards. They laid out the 5 cards face down. And Dave, Tim, this is no lie. I rattled off circle, square, spiral, triangle, arrow. touching each card with my finger. They told me I had gone too fast, so I named them off slower. When they turned the cards over, I had gotten every one completely right. There was chaos. They immediately wanted me to retake the test, which I refused to do, as their research plan didn't call for giving multiple tests to one person. They went to school the next day and told their psychology teacher what happened, and she didn't believe them, and actually called our office to verify, which I was happy to do. I wish I had the same experience picking lottery numbers, but alas, no such luck. To this day, when I think of the gasps that went up when I named all 5 correctly, I just have to chuckle. Thanks for a great show, and that comes from Wade. Thank you, Wade.
Wow. Interesting, Wade. Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, very cool. Now, okay, so mathematical chances that you actually get that right versus actual psychic powers.
I don't know. Let's try something right here, right now, because there is no other place I'd rather be, Tim.
Okay.
I've got in front of me a Queen Mary medallion.
Mm-hmm.
One side has a crown. Mm-hmm. The other side has the Royal Queen Mary, the gray ghost herself.
Okay.
I'm going to flip this coin 5 times.
Okay.
Okay? 5 times. Mm-hmm. I'm going to flip this coin. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this coin in front of me and flip it 5 times.
Okay.
I'm going to have you call out what you believe it to be. I'm going to also videotape this, Tim.
Okay.
And then we're going to put the video up somewhere, maybe up on the YouTubes.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
So I've got. Let me clear up my desk a little bit so you don't see my blue chews and my other strange things sitting across my desk.
All right.
All right. Okay. So I've got my. Let me wipe off my Cheeto dust. Here we go.
I'm going to clear my mind.
Okay. Clear your mind. Mm-hmm. Heads is the crown. Tails is the ship. Okay.
All right.
So here we are. This is the Darkness Radio psychic test for Tim Dennis. Mm-hmm. This is the coin in which I'm speaking about. It is the Queen Mary coin. Heads is the crown. Tails is the gray ghost herself, the Queen Mary. So heads, crown, tails, the ship. Okay, so I'm going to flip it in the air. It's going to land in this area, and we're going to let Tim call it out 5 times and see how many he gets ready. Are you ready, Tim?
Ready.
It's in the air. Oh. He dropped it on the floor. So far, I'm failing miserably on the very first test. So let me try this again.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Call it.
Heads.
Tails.
Shit.
Okay, ready?
Ready.
Call.
Heads.
Heads. You are 500. You're batting 500. Tim.
Batting 500. All right.
Okay. Are you ready?
Ready.
You ready? It's in the air. Call it.
Tails.
Heads.
Yeah.
So far, you're a loser, Tim.
What?
Just in case you didn't know. All right. Ready?
Ready.
It's in the air. Call it.
Heads.
It is tails, Tim. Tails. So we've got one more attempt here, Tim. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. It's in the air. Call it.
Tails.
It is tails, Tim. You've got it right 2 out of 5 times. That was not very impressive. I'm going to share that video.
Psychic as a rock.
I was hoping you'd pull it like 3 or 4 out of 4 times. That's what I was shooting for, but it didn't happen. So, Tim, you've let me down.
Sorry,
you've let me down. What? Maybe we should. I'll do one over there, and you can videotape it. Maybe we'll do that next week.
Okay,
and we'll see how I do.
Sure.
But I was honest. I was honest with 2 out of 5 times. I'll even shoot you the video so that you can see it for yourself, so that you can hear and even match up audio, Tim, to what we just did. All right. Okay. So I'm flipping that to you right now onto your Facebook. So it's over there. It's the the coin toss. The coin toss. All right. So we've just proven you not very psychic. But again, you didn't get a chance to kind of clear your mind and meditate on this. It was like a quick wang bang.
Yeah, you kind of threw it at me. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that was our first test, but it didn't go well for Tim. We'll continue trying. Our next email, Tim. Mm-hmm. All right, here you go. Here's your psychic ability. Who do they address first in this email, Tim?
Me. Yeah.
Hey, Dave and Tim.
No.
You were incorrect again. Yeah. My wife and I have been living in our nearly century-old home for over 6 years now and have had a multitude of paranormal encounters. So many occurrences have happened, some with possible explanations, but many without. That a friend of mine is disappointed if I have nothing new to share. With that said, I've dwindled the list down to the most incredible, the most unexplainable. And this is where it begins, Tim.
Okay.
On one of the first nights in the home, I was lying on the couch when I heard a loud bang. It had to have come from the interior wall of the closet, which was only a few feet from me. It sounded as if a large man angrily slammed his fist against the wall. One afternoon, I was in the kitchen washing dishes when I suddenly felt full-body chills to the point that I nearly dropped a glass. Almost simultaneously, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a full-bodied figure walk through my kitchen and disappear down the steps and into the basement. It was such a strong apparition that I wrote it off as my wife and proclaimed, "Good morning," but got no response back. My wife works night shift, and it was abnormal for her to be up this early, but I didn't think too much of it, and I just kept washing. 10 minutes go by, and what I thought was my wife had not returned from the basement. I ventured down to find her, only to find an empty basement. I check upstairs, and lo and behold, my wife is sound asleep. One night, I'd fallen asleep on the couch when I was suddenly woken by someone pulling my hair. At this point, my hair wasn't very long, so it felt exactly like someone took 2 fingers and their thumb and yanked several times.
Ow.
As I kept my eyes closed, my first thought was that my wife had come down to wake me, but before I could say anything, I felt my hair get tugged once again. This time, I immediately went to brush my wife's hand away, only to swing through the air. I jumped up, and I found no one there, just darkness. Now, I've saved our greatest experience for last, but that's a story for another day.
No.
It's not. He wrote it. Hold on.
Okay.
I believe that the majority of the experiences are happening to me because I'm a strong believer in the paranormal, and I'm much more open to the world beyond. My wife, on the other hand, is about as indifferent as you will find. A quick side note, she won't watch any of my paranormal shows or horrors, but loves the Holzer Files. Yay!
No, good. Yeah.
Yeah. Just about a year ago, my wife and I were getting ready to leave the house. I was waiting near the back door as my wife was upstairs finishing up. Suddenly, I hear a giant thud. It was so loud, my immediate thought was my wife fell down the steps. So I sprint upstairs only to find my wife standing on the landing between the first and the second floor. She has a look of absolute terror, and all the color had seemingly drained from her face. I asked, "What happened?" Her reply, "The bathroom door slammed itself shut." I heard the door. I give the knob a quick twist, but the door doesn't open. The door itself is one of those cheap interior doors that an emaciated child could open without any effort. It's always just a turn of the knob and boom, the door opens. I had to put some serious effort into opening that door. It felt like there was a force on the other side. I pushed the door open to, of course, find an empty bathroom. Thanks for taking your time to read my long-winded email. That comes from Matt. Thank you, Matt. And thank your wife for loving the Holzer Files. Which brings me to a point. Dave, Panic is in. Dave, the Travel Channel keeps saying that their shows are all going to Discovery Plus. I'm not going to pay for Discovery Plus. I already pay for cable. I want to watch the Holzer Files. And if it's not going to be on there, screw you, screw your wife, screw your ugly kids, screw your stupid cats and dogs, screw you.
Jesus.
Well, first of all, I don't make any of the decisions for programming. I'm just the humble, lovable star of the show.
Yeah.
And I wish I had more power. I wish I had more say. I do not. At this point, I am of the same mind I have been for the last few months. We will be back in March. Perhaps sooner, they said, but it looks like March. And I believe we're going to be on Travel Channel. That's what they have told me to this point. Could things change tomorrow? Maybe. I don't know. But again, not my fault. So when you yell at me, send me mean emails, voicemails, haikus. I've had some very hurtful haikus sent my way, Tim.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen a hurtful haiku. How does that go?
You don't even want to know, Tim. It's just heartbreaking. When somebody's taken that much thought and effort to write a haiku that's nothing but mean-spirited, it's just not worth it. You know who you are. Just go ahead and send those mean haikus to tim@darknessradio.com. Just write him a mean haiku so he knows what it feels like to read something like that. But I digress. By punishing me, you're not punishing me. Because it's not my choice. It's none of our choices. It's the network's choice. And face it, folks, cable is on its way out. People are just involved. Now, here's what you're bitching and whining about. And I'm not saying you don't have a reason to be upset. Everybody has their own reasons, and we all like familiarity. But you don't get just a travel channel on Discovery Plus. You get every Discovery channel that they have, all of the different blanket, right? And it's like $5 a month, and you get the shows with commercials for an extra $2 a month. You get them without commercials. Yeah. And if you go take the 7-day free trial and check it out for yourself. 7 days free. Go try it out free. Then if you don't like it, cancel it. You're going to be blown away with how much they've got on there. How many different shows? It's not just paranormal. It's every show under their corporate blanket. Suddenly you realize, hey, these are all the channels I'm spending $65 to $100 a month on for cable. I can now get them for $7 a month, commercial free.
Yeah.
And special releases.
Yeah.
Like Paranormal Night Shift with Tim Dennis.
Yeah.
It's on there.
The whole season.
The Whole season 1. It's on there. Like Ghost Adventures every season, which means you can see all of my visits with the Ghost Adventures guys. I think I did 7 or 8 episodes. I could claim up to 11 or 12 because sometimes they do a flashback to a clip of a past episode that I was on. Mm-hmm. So if I'm one of those kind of people, I can technically say I've been on a dozen episodes. But in some cases, it's for a split second. But I've been part of the investigation for 7 of them, and I think 2 of the 2 live specials they've ever done. Mm-hmm. So, but all that stuff is cool, and it's available. So go check it out. Before you get mad at me, just realize I'm just a worker. I'm a worker bee, kids. That's all I am. I have no power, no play, but the world is changing. As Bob Dylan once told us, Tim, the world, it is a-changing. Yeah. Something that I can't remember the exact quote because I don't listen to Bob Dylan. I listen to the talented Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen.
Wow.
Anyway, so I say that just because I do get multiple messages a day. What's going on? When are you returning? Are you going to Discovery Plus? I don't know the answers. I don't know. As soon as I know, I'll be plastering them on my social media and I'll be talking about them here on the show. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Throwing it out there. All right, let's try your psychic ability, Tim.
Okay.
This next letter, how does it begin?
Dear Dave and Tim.
Hi, Dave. Big fan.
Jesus.
Love your balanced approach to the paranormal. I'm looking for a little help to see if something is truly going on in our 2017 home. Maybe someone who could remotely view our house or our family.
Well, it ain't going to be me.
Yeah. You don't want Tim's psychic ability chiming in. You know what, though? If somebody's in a bathtub, you'll be able to tune in.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. We moved in last year. An amazing country home on a pond. Our final home. We had little things at our past house here and there. In our new house, there has been a few more things. What concerns us is it has progressed from weird little things. Young girls' voices saying, Mom? It woke my wife up, and I was awake and heard it also. A month ago, my wife, who doesn't want to see these things, watched our recliner fully rocking back and forth and then come to a complete stop. Last was a progression I wasn't ready for. I had my hip pushed to wake me up. Put your hand upon my hip, and when you dip, I dip, we dip, Tim.
Hey, you got it.
Yeah. Naturally, I thought it was one of my 2 kids. I laid flat on my back to see no one. I sat for a couple of minutes trying to get my bearings. That when as if saying I'm here, pushed my middle big toe backward on my foot.
Mm-hmm.
All the rest of this was great, and then all of a sudden it's like free form jazz just spilled out of this person's mouth. It's just like let's see if I can make sense of that. Then, when as if saying I'm here pushed my, I guess the next part is basically saying then as if to say I'm here, the spirit pushed the middle big toe backwards on this person's foot. I didn't react. I froze. I finally went back to sleep after 45 minutes of debunking in my head. How do you debunk watching your toe bend backwards towards you?
I don't think you can.
Muscle cramp? Muscle cramp?
I think ow, 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 ow would be the first thing I'd be thinking. And then after that, it'd be like, holy bleep. Then after that, then I'm thinking. Yeah.
There is other things that have happened, but we can debunk, or maybe it's just in our mind. Nothing has ever felt or seemed malicious. It felt more like saying, I'm here. We never had acknowledged any of these moments. I have no problem with these things, but touching is just too much.
A lot of my ex-girlfriends used to say that. Touching is just too much.
Sometimes when we touch, the paranormal activity's too much. And I have to close my eyes and hide. It is affecting our dreams, our sleep, and our attitudes. Over the last year, sleeping has been harder and harder for me. We would like to know if someone can help us understand who or what we're working with. We live down by Northfield. Thank you, Shannon. Well, hello, Shannon. Here's what I would tell you, Shannon. I don't know where Northfield is because you didn't tell me a state. There's a Northfield, Minnesota. There's a Northfield, Massachusetts. I could maybe point you to the wrong people. But secondly, David Franklin Farkas, one of my favorite names I've ever said on the show, Tim. He was a guest of ours quite often back in the old days. And I miss him. We should talk to him again.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the Farkas. David Franklin Farkas has a website called househealing.com. He does it remotely. That's right. You heard me. Remotely. And he helps people to clear the energies of their home remotely. And he does it with such proficiency that realtors from around the world hire him to do that. So househealing.com, go check it out for yourself and see. Otherwise, if you're looking and you want a paranormal team to come in and corroborate your experience, sometimes by calling people in and engaging with them, it can make the activity get worse. So if it doesn't feel malevolent and it's bothered, just clearly state you're not welcome and leave me alone, especially when I'm sleeping. That would be my first take on it. I hope that helps. Let me know if you're in Northfield, Minnesota, or if you're in Northfield, Massachusetts, or wherever you are. Just let me know, and I could try to find somebody in your area to come meet with you. But again, I'm always cautious with that because I really do want people to be careful about A, who they have in their house, and B, engaging those things. Sometimes it gets a little crazier.
It's true. I mean, I think I talked. That's
wow, that's easy for you not to say.
Exactly. I've talked before about the ghost I have here in this home that I'm in now, and which I won't say the address or give my phone number. It's a new year, but the ghost that we have here is. It's a friendly ghost. And believe it or not, through actually having communicated with this ghost outwardly, like some sort of madman, things have calmed down. And I really do believe it's the former homeowner who died here.
Oh.
And it's just a matter of establishing boundaries. It's a matter of saying, I recognize that you built this home, that this was your home at one time, that you feel a love and kinship to this home, but you have to realize that we're here now too. So we can share the same space, just don't invade my boundaries when when it's private time, and we're fine. Let's watch a ball game together. Let's watch TV together. When I'm working, you can work back in your workshop.
Do you ever feel him spoon you when you're laying on the couch watching the Vikings lose? Do you two commiserate that way?
Yeah, we have to hold each other when in those brief moments of sadness. Yeah.
Boy, speaking of brief moments of sadness, Tim, this just crossing the Darkness Radio news desk. Dustin Diamond of Saved by the Bell has been hospitalized fearing cancer.
Really?
Yeah, Dustin Diamond, iconic for his role as Screech in the 90s series Saved by the Bell, has been hospitalized. Widespread pain and discomfort, fearing cancer may be the source. Diamond's reps told TMZ that he was admitted in Florida, where doctors are running tests to narrow down the potential diagnosis. It was known that the actor's family has a history of cancer, including his mother, who died of breast cancer. Dustin, 45, first appeared as Samuel Screech Powers in 1988's Good Morning, Miss Bliss, about classmates at the fictional Bayside High School. Continued the role through each iteration of Saved by the Bell, including Saved by the Bell, The New Class, in which he appeared as Bayside's principal. That final incarnation ended in the year 2000, well before the current reboot was conceived. Yeah, I know he's had some trouble out there, but gosh, everybody, prayer warriors, throw out some love and healing for Dustin Diamond, not just for his physical body, but for his soul and mind, because I know he's lived kind of a tortured existence. Playing Screech has got to screw with you.
Yeah, he didn't have too much success after that role either. I found out this past week, too, that my dad got diagnosed with prostate cancer, too. He, I was going to tell you off air, he doesn't know the extent of it yet. I know he's had some issues for quite some time, so I don't know how severe it is. He goes in for a bone scan at the end of the week, so and all that.
Well,
that's coming up, so.
We will definitely put out the prayer request, folks, for Roy Dennis, Tim's dad, or Rick. Which officially does he go by? I want to make sure the prayers go to the right person, Tim.
Well, he goes by both, but Rick. Okay. Rick is easier. Okay. Yeah.
Rick Dennis. Yeah. Make sure you send out prayer and healing requests for Tim's dad, Rick Dennis, so that we can get this under wraps and healed, and a quick recovery, quick prayers for the doctors that are serving him to make the right decisions and help him out. Just please send him our love too, Tim.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah,
everybody in the darkness on the edge of town. All right, our next news story: Scott D. Pierce, Discovery Channel looks for gold, maybe finds outer space aliens in eastern Utah. Utah is home to mountains, deserts, national parks, the Great Salt Lake, the greatest snow on Earth, and evil spirits in an alien spacecraft? Well, maybe, at least according to a new series airing on Discovery Channel. Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch follows Texan Dwayne Ollinger, his son Chad, and a small team looking for gold and buried treasure in Unida County, or Unida. They battle the elements in dangerous situations and possibly some paranormal elements in the area where the elder Ollinger tells viewers things just don't feel right. In 2009, Dwayne Ollinger first saw the region's caverns, and in 2018 he bought 160 acres there southeast of Ballard and named it the Blind Frog Ranch because he discovered the caverns underneath it were populated by, you guessed it, Tim, blind frogs. You're good at this after all.
I really am, yeah.
The goal is to mine the land for precious metals and possibly locate treasure left behind by Aztecs, Spaniards, Mexicans, and or Mormons. Discovery has aired shows about treasure hunting, gold prospecting, and searches for alien artifacts infused with spooky elements, but Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch combines all those elements as the drama plays out in eastern Utah. Not Eastern Utah. I started to say plays out in Eastern Utah. It's about 20 miles north of the Skinwalker Ranch, which is also rumored to be the site of paranormal activity. Not rumored, it's true.
Yeah.
We've read the book. We've talked to the people. It's true.
Exactly.
I didn't believe in any of that stuff until we actually started staying out there, Chad Ollinger told the Salt Lake Tribune. It's real. I thought everyone was making it up. I'm a 100% believer now. Really? You're not kidding us?
No.
I 100% believe in aliens now, Chad insisted. On the surface, well, below the surface, the series is about the Ollingers' attempts to get into the 2 miles of caverns on the property. They have hard evidence that there actually is gold down there, although they don't know how much. They even find what appears to be a very old gold coin, possibly Spanish, in the first episode. But there's also some kind of dark force. According to Dwayne, that they come to believe is trying to prevent them from finding treasure. Their equipment seems to break down for no reason. They attribute one such failure to the unexplained electromagnetic pulse, and sometimes equipment simply disappears. Locals interviewed for the show say some things out there, including possibly sinister skinwalkers, aka shapeshifters, UFO, and or a buried alien spacecraft. It's a lot of thinking, Tim.
Yeah, it is.
One woman, Veronica Lawson, appears on camera to tell a story about Native American babies drowned in the waters at the Blind Frog Ranch long before because the tribe was starving, adding that the spirits of those infants remain malevolent. In the first episode, at least, no one identified as affiliated with tribes in the area is asked about their knowledge of the region's history. It's not a good idea to dig out there, Lawson says. Don't go looking for trouble. But the Ollingers have made a very substantial investment of money and time in the project, and they're not about to give up. We're there to find buried treasure, Chad said. We take all the safety precautions we can, but at the end of the day, you just have to get her done. It's fun. It's an adventure, no doubt about it. He promises there will absolutely be surprises for the viewers. What we saw, we'll never forget, Chad said. Oh, man, it's pretty wild. He said members of the TV production crew were as skeptical as he was about all the paranormal and or alien stories. They would initially say, I got to tell you, I don't believe in any of this stuff. And the next thing you know, their minds have been changed. He said that he once found two crew members locked in their car holding shovels as defensive weapons because they were absolutely terrified, and they were believers after that. Whether Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch will turn viewers into believers remains to be seen, but who knows? Maybe giving Oneida County more of a reputation for paranormal activity and outer space aliens will help put it on the map. Hey, it worked for Roswell, New Mexico, Tim.
Yes, it did.
Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch airs Fridays on the Discovery Channel, 8 p.m., and on Dish Direct TV, 11 p.m. on Comcast. Episodes are also streaming on Discovery Plus. I'm sorry, doesn't that sound like an old Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew book? The Hardy Boys, Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch.
It does. I was just sitting here thinking Blind Frog is a great alternative band name. But, my niece, she came up with an even better metal band name. And I don't want any of you people to steal this because this is going to be her band name when she gets older. Okay. I'm even making up a band name T-shirt for her.
Wow.
She was out playing one day, and she's very little. She's only 2 years old, but she was out she's almost 3 now. She was out on the sidewalk, and she was playing, and she saw a headless frog, and her brother said, "Decapitated frog," and she went, "Decapitated frog." And so now she says that's her band name, Decapitated Frog, and that is the most awesome metal band name ever. Decapitated Frog.
You heard it, folks. Don't trademark it. Don't try to steal it. It's Tim's.
Yep.
His niece.
So I'm gonna make her a band shirt, and
cool.
And
Greatest uncle ever. I wish you were my uncle.
And it's gonna have it's gonna have a caricature of her with a microphone as a singer, and I'm gonna have a caricature of a headless Kermit playing guitar.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm. All right. We have to take a break. When we come back, folks, it's time for Theater of the Mind. You wanted it. You asked for it. Nay, you demanded it. The return of Theater of the Mind. So here you go. Today's Theater of the Mind. The Last Goodbye from Tina Haransky. Today's story takes place sometime in the early 80s. While attending Macomb College, I had a professor that I favored over the others. He was just one of those teachers that knew how to bring life to the material that he taught. I had him for a few drafting classes over a 2-year period. One day, I arrived in class and heard chatter coming from the classmates. Inside the classroom, the atmosphere felt different. It was colder, so much colder. As I approached a group of students, I learned of the professor's death. They were collecting donations for a flower arrangement to have sent to the funeral home. I gave my donation, but I chose not to attend the funeral that same evening. The next day, I was driving to class, taking the usual roads. It was wintertime, and it began to snow. First, smaller flakes grazed my windshield, then they were replaced by much larger ones. As I drove closer to the college, I kept driving as the ice flakes thickened and started falling with more force. Visibility became difficult as I glanced to make a turn on a road that I normally turn down to get to the college parking lot. I slowed down and made the turn. Approaching a drive, I looked around through the thickened white flakes and noticed that I had made a wrong turn. Wanting to turn the car around, I approached the building, lights blaring off, reflecting in the snow like a halo. Pulling in closer to the sign, it read, Lee Elena Funeral Home. I stopped the car completely and felt chills go up my spine, but I shook off the fear, turned the car around, and headed to get back out on the main road. Finding my way to the college, I walked into the classroom and heard students talk and descriptions of how the funeral service went the night prior. One of the students handed me a memorial card from the funeral with a picture of the deceased and the name of the funeral home, Lee Elena Funeral Home. Well, the next day at about 10:47 a.m., I stayed in bed a little longer that morning, lying on my stomach, head turned on my side, facing a window. I kept my eyes closed, not yet ready to face the morning sun. A few minutes had passed, and I heard a noise, like footsteps approaching the bedroom door. I thought to myself it was my husband coming home for lunch, like he would do periodically. I continued to keep my eyes shut and my head turned, pretending to be asleep. The footsteps became louder, approaching the bed on the opposite side of where I was laying. Then I felt the mattress pressed down, as someone had laid down next to me. I continued to remain in this position, thinking my husband would at least try to kiss my forehead or lay next to me for a while to greet me. But there was nothing. I took my left arm and swung it out to pat the area that he had been laying on, eyes still shut and head tilted opposite of where he was laying. And there was no one there. I suddenly shot out of bed and I felt a cold draft pass through me. I froze, feeling temporarily paralyzed. Then I ran out of the bedroom, got dressed, and left the house. Later that night, while on the phone with my mother, I told her what had happened that morning. And she told me, well, you didn't want to go see your professor at the funeral home, so he came to say his last goodbye to you. Awesome job. Thank you so much for sending your story in. It's just that simple, folks. We'll do the short stories, we'll do the medium and the long stories. That's right. If you could try to contain your story to about 3, maybe at the most 3.5 pages of paragraphs, and, again, do me and you a favor. Just read it out loud to yourself once to make sure there's no stumbling blocks. You notice you've got everything in the right context and in the right places and all the spell check done. It's fantastic. We love doing these Theater of the Minds, and we will continue bringing them to you every Wednesday here on the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. Here's a quick email, Tim. How does this one start out? So far, you're 0 for 2.
I'm 0 for 2. I'm just going to say, Dear Dave.
There's no start to this to either one of us, Tim. It just begins with, I've been listening to your show as I fall asleep for the last 2 or 3 years. I just wanted to tell you there's been numerous times where I woke my wife up because I was in tears laughing so hard. My biggest laugh came from the 2019 Christmas show. Dave, you singing Stevie Nicks' version of Silent Night was amazing. I think about that show on occasion, and it always brings a smile to my face. Just wanted to say I love the show. Keep up the great work, guys. Lyndon Peterson. Thank you, Lyndon. We appreciate it. Did he think I was mocking Stevie Nicks and her amazing God-given gift?
Probably not.
Silent night. Holy night. All is God. All is bright, bright, bright. That was it, folks. I just saved you the money. You don't have to buy it or look it up.
Wow.
Boom. There's Stevie Nicks version.
Telling you though, when they come around next time, you and I, buddy, Fleetwood Mac, we're gonna
No.
We're gonna go to the concert. We'll go to a nice. Here's how it'll work out. They're probably gonna be at Excel, so we'll go upstairs. We'll go and have a nice dinner up there at Excel, and then we'll. You ever been to the?
I feel bad because I know a lot of people like them. I know a lot of people too, but a lot of people like Nexium and Jim Jones and Charles Manson. Tim, it's not for everyone. That's all I'm going to say. How does this email start, Tim?
You're totally avoiding. Have you ever had you ever had dinner up there at Excel Energy Center at the restaurant up there?
Yes, that I have.
It's very nice. We'll have a nice dinner, and then we'll go sit and we'll watch an amazing concert by Fleetwood Mac.
See, part of that statement is true. Part of it is not. Amazing, great dinner. Yes. Concert by Fleetwood Mac. No. How does this next email start, Tim? I want you to really focus now. From my mind to your mind. I'm Vulcan mind melding with you right now. I've got my hand on the screen, Tim. Mm-hmm. My mind to your mind. Mm-hmm. Your mind to my mind. How does this next one begin?
Dear Tim and Dave.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Snatched from the jaws of defeat. He is correct. Tim and Dave, congratulations on 15 years. Been a longtime fan going back to the old days of AM 1500.
We were on KSTP?
No, we weren't. We were on AM 1440. But
no, 1400. 1400 and 1470.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I said. 1440.
We were never on 1440.
I don't even know what station we were on. But you remember, I said, let's do a coast-to-coast like show because as people are scrolling down the dial, they're going to find our show first because we were on an hour earlier. So my plan always worked. Right there on old KLBB AM 1440.
No,
anyway, it doesn't matter.
1400,
they've been a fan all the way back to when we were on the AM 1500 days.
1440 was a totally different station. It was business news.
You're going to like this next part. I even heard the night that Jason Lewis screwed Tim live on air.
What? I did what?
When he just walked off the show. You got a real pretty mouth.
Well, that was a totally different station. That was AM 1130.
I know, but he's just saying he's been with us the whole time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But anyhow, just wanted to say thank you for all the years of entertainment. I don't really have any cool paranormal stories, but I do have to say your stories back in the day of black-eyed kids used to give me the heebie-jeebies.
Heebie-jeebies?
The heebie-jeebies. Heebie-jeebie. So when I would pedal home after work at 3 a.m., thanks again for all the entertainment over the years. And here's to another 15 more. Your fan, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
We gave him the heepies and the jeepies, Tim.
I'm going back to Hubbard, and I'm getting my my benefits from them. I did that. Yeah, over at KSTP.
The Conjuring 3 release date has been announced, and it seems it's going to HBO Max, Tim.
I know.
Yeah. In 2013, The Conjuring created history with its chart-buster performance. The movie earned an amazing rating, including 7.5 stars out of 10 from IMDb and an 83% rating by Rotten Tomatoes. The Conjuring makers added a second part to the series with the same sequence of the paranormal activities. In contrast, the movie signifies an optimistic end where good is victorious over evil. This year, the Conjuring makers add a new movie to the saga by releasing The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. After 4 years of waiting, the creators have finally announced that a Conjuring movie will soon be released. The Conjuring 2 was released. Can you believe this? It's been 5 years since The Conjuring 2 came out.
Yeah.
5 years.
It feels like it's been a while, but not 5 years.
The movie is still known for its excellent record and direction. Fans have very high expectations for The Conjuring 3. Let's revisit Conjuring 1. The movie takes us back to the year 1970, where a family moves in with their 5 daughters to an isolated farmhouse. The house's lady could sense something unusual And then she finally witnesses something demonic. While playing claps with her youngest daughter, she decides to seek help and calls ghost hunters. The hunters dive into the house's history, which has seen an enormous number of killings and suicides, when the house is still haunted by the spirits of the people who died there. The spirits possess the mother of the 5 daughters to kill her daughters. However, ghost hunters prevent that situation, and the movie marks its ending on a happy note. The real story of The Conjuring is inspired by the real-life events of Ed and Lorraine Warren's life. The couple served as a ghost hunter for their entire life, and all the Conjuring series are based on them. The Conjuring 2, in 1977, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren came out of a voluntary vacation to travel to Enfield, a borough in North London. There they meet Peggy Hodgson, a confused single mother of 4 who tells the couple that something evil resides in their home. Ed and Lorraine understand her story. They notice that Peggy's youngest daughter starts to show signs of demonic possession after they start investigating. As the Warrens try to help the attacked girl, they become the next wicked spirit targets. Ed develops a soft corner for the girl and saves her without thinking about his own life, whereas Lorraine has a vision that Ed will fall into demise when the spirit of a nun attacks him. The movie marks its ending when Ed saves the girl from the demonic power and delivers her safely to her mother. The ending of The Conjuring inspires the movie The Nun. And that leads us to The Conjuring Tree, Tim. Part tree. The both of us are going to see this. The ghost hunters, Ed and Lorraine Warren, try to reveal the truth behind a murder that seems to be demonic possession claim murder. The movie is also based on a true story and is also seen as a tribute to Lorraine as she fell into demise in the year 2019, whereas the rumors said that she might have lost her life to something supernatural. But she was 92 years old, and she passed away due to her old age. Vera Farmiga plays the role of Lorraine, with Patrick Wilson as Ed. Michael Shaves directs the movie. The fans are eagerly awaiting the movie, which will be released on HBO Max on the 4th of June, 2021. There's also a movie coming out called Lockdown, and it's about the new normal. It's kind of like it's an upcoming American romantic comedy heist movie. Are we ready for a COVID movie while we're still in the midst of it?
Yeah, too soon.
I think so.
Yeah.
I concur. Ooh. You like that, Tim?
Yeah.
It's a fancy schmancy word I saw somewhere at one point.
Yeah.
Maybe death is the end, or maybe it's not. And that's going to be proven by a new TV series. The Netflix documentary series Surviving Death. There is no lack of paranormal activity. The dead call mediums. Seances attempt to make them manifest. People claim to be reincarnated actors, pilots, or victims of murder. While during near-death encounters, others report experiencing a heavenly embrace. In 6 one-hour episodes, the series discusses signs and proof that after our final breath, there is plenty to witness. Ricky Stern, director of Enduring Death, is prepared for your skepticism. Stern, whose latest documentary series included Reversing Roe and Surviving Jeffrey Epstein, is not afraid to cross-examine the media and witnesses who say on camera that it's not a question of faith. Film investigates government UFO records. Continue reading. That's weird. I would describe myself as a non-believer of sorts, but someone who is open to it, Stern said. The Guardian Stern told The Guardian from her New York City apartment, the series never rules out the possibility of a session using light tricks to conjure up a ghost or a medium to dig up Facebook information and pass it on as afterlife information. The director clarified that, though, through serious analysis, she decided to explore the possibility of an afterlife, taking hints from the book Surviving Death by journalist Leslie Kean, on which the series is based. Kean, who also appears in the series, introduced to the topic of an afterlife research-heavy scientific approach, which can be a little like using a stethoscope on a ghost. How does one make a compelling argument for the metaphysical if the scientific world loves physical proof? Keane told The Guardian that she loves the inherent challenges of using investigative practices to find truths you'll probably never get to, pointing out that she's only following a vital line of people hundreds of years before her who have walked this path. Some of those people who have written articles and manuscripts on paranormal investigations are the philosopher and psychologist William James, Sherlock Holmes author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and Dr. Ian Stevenson, who founded the Department for Perception Conceptual Studies at the University of Virginia back in 1967. They're not necessarily believers. A skeptical scientific mind was Doyle's famous Victorian-era development, Sherlock Holmes. Holmes pulled back the curtain and debunked myths about the supernatural and paranormal in novels like The Hound of the Baskervilles. But Doyle was surprisingly more open to the idea of people being able to interact and even manifest with the deceased. Surviving Death seeks to strike a difficult balance between the Sherlockian skepticism and the openness of Doyle to spiritualism. That new series is on Netflix, 6-part series. I think I'm going to watch that. We should talk about that next week. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I gave you a homework assignment last week, Tim. Do you remember the homework assignment?
I did not.
I told you to watch Love and Monsters.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you were going to watch it and see if it could live up to your lowered expectations of what love really is.
Yeah, and I got caught up with work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to put you down for an M in my class.
An M?
An M. I'm going to give you one more week, Tim. I want you to watch it and talk with me about it. Tim.
About it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I'm asking. But since we're on the topic of this new Netflix series,
okay,
let's discuss one of the cases.
All right.
In it. A doctor who almost died relived the moment she believed she was led towards the heaven by spirits in a new Netflix series. Surviving Death looks at the survivors of near-death experiences, looking into what happens to people when they die for a short time before being brought back to life. There are also episodes on reincarnation and paranormal phenomena. Dr. Mary Neal from New York spoke about when she was trapped underwater for almost half an hour during a 1999 kayak accident in Chile. Neal, now 62, was pinned underneath her kayak and submerged for 24 minutes, her brain starved of oxygen the entire time. The mom of four told The Sun, "I was not breathing. My torso was absolutely plastered to the front deck of the boat, and I could feel my bones breaking. I thought I should be screaming, but I wasn't. I felt no pain, no fear, no panic. I felt more alive than I've ever felt. I could feel my spirit peeling away from my body, and my spirit went up towards the heavens. I was immediately greeted by a group of something. I don't know what to call them. People? Spirits? Beings? I didn't recognize any of them, but they had been important in my life somehow, like a grandparent who died before I was born. They were so overjoyed to welcome me and greet me and love me." She said the beings led her down a path covered with hundreds of thousands of flowers, which were every color of the universe. Neal described the experience as a shift in time and dimension. She said, "I experienced all of eternity in every second, and every second expanded into all eternity. The pathway went to this great dome structure, and I believe I was in heaven. I had an overwhelming sense of being home." Her group spent 15 minutes trying to rescue her before switching into body recovery mode. She explained, "One of the guys saw my life jacket pop up downstream and thought that maybe my husband would want it. As he got that, he felt my body touch his leg and was able to reach under the water and grab my wrist. My body was bloated and purple, and I had fixed eyes. There's no doubt in my own mind that I was physically dead. But I watched from the entrance of the dome structure as they started CPR, and I could hear them." She remembers seeing the kayakers trying to save her. She added, "I had been without oxygen for around 30 minutes at this point, and the statistical likelihood of my survival was 0. I did not want to go back down to my body. I had a very physical sensation of being held and comforted and reassured that everything was fine. But the beings told me that it wasn't my time, that I had more work to do on Earth, and that I had to go back to my body. When I opened my eyes, the guys who resuscitated me were stunned." Surviving Death is available to stream now on Netflix. Check it out on Netflix. So I'm going to watch that and talk about that next week, Tim.
Okay.
And you need to watch Love and Monsters.
Love and Monsters.
Uh-huh. Love and Monsters. Watch it, Tim.
Okay. All right.
That's all I'm asking you. Watch it, Tim.
Okay. All right. Love and Monsters. Got it.
Love and Monsters.
Got it.
Hi, my name is Tim, and I wanted to tell the story of an old house that I lived in, Delaware, Iowa. Good God, not Iowa, Tim. Ohio. Big difference.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Tim, and I wanted to tell a story of an old house I lived in Delaware, Ohio. I don't want to exaggerate because the only apparition I'm positive I ever saw was in Gettysburg. And this was more of an unseen force. I lived at this place for about 5 years. The first year I had a roommate. We had a lot of parties and not a lot of stuff went on. At that time, I would sit in the living room at night and I get a feeling I was being watched from the kitchen. Not sinister, but I got kind of an old lady vibe. And more of this will make sense as the story goes on. I'm aware of shadow people, but this was more of a white light in the corner of your eye. The more time I spent here, though, you would hear dishes being knocked around in the kitchen, things slamming. Of course, no proof. While being alone a lot there, especially when I was upset, I tried being rational and I would grab a baseball bat, flip on all the lights thinking somebody must have come in. While I had girlfriends over on different occasions, we would both admit we felt enraged for no reason, and fights would escalate. On one of these occasions, she said she walked into the bathroom and the hamper lifted up off the ground. Time to do your laundry when the clothes are trying to climb their way to the laundromat, Tim.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
By this point, I was just glad someone else noticed something. One night, my brother was staying the night and he heard something slam. He was woken up by a drawer slamming in the kitchen. When I checked it, it was a drawer was still open. So it had to have had enough force to open it, shut it hard enough to make it bounce back open. This goes along with the old lady theory, thinking maybe she just wants us to do dishes and clean. I had a pit bull there as well, and he never barked at anything except the blender, the sweeper, or someone pounding on the door. Well, then he barked at a lot of things. Let's just be honest, Tim. You start off saying you want to be honest and not exaggerate. Then don't tell me you have a pit bull who never barked at anything except for everything you've just listed. Some nights he would go on the stairs with his hair raised and growl at the door. I'm not a big fan of orbs, but on a digital camera that has the triple shot effect, the first picture had an orb by the ceiling. Second picture, it's about halfway down. What got me was in the third picture, the orb was right above my dog's tail, and he was looking right at it. We did have neighbors downstairs for a few months, but it was mostly unoccupied. Some days I'd be sitting on the floor in the upstairs part, and I could swear I feel the ceiling fan on downstairs, but no one should be there. One day I was sitting there and heard voices downstairs. I sat and listened and swore it had to have been a radio show where somebody broke in because it sounded like a back and forth conversation and was cold and snowing out. But there were no footprints and nobody was there. One day I was at work. My mom came by to visit. When I got there, she asked how I got outside because she swears up and down to this day that she saw me come up the stairs 10 minutes earlier. Now, the most movie thing that happened was there was a handprint in the window in the attic from the inside. There is no access to the attic without a ladder in the middle of our staircase. Now, to tie the old lady story in, right before I moved, my girlfriend's stepmom said in the 70s, she sold Avon to an old lady who lived downstairs. She remembers because the old lady hid her money in the floorboard. It was hard to get anyone to believe me unless they experienced it themselves. I have had a cold spot on my shoulder the moment I found out I was having a son. I stood up and turned around and felt the cold spot in the same spot on my other side. And while in this house, we just figured it was one of our grandparents, I never had that many odd experiences in one place before. But I think it was a little old lady just messing with us hooligans. That comes from Tim. Thanks, Tim. We appreciate your story. At least I do. I can't speak for my Tim. He might not be as easily impressed.
No, I appreciate it. Sure. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good, Tim. Scots captured a picture of an eerie little girl in a white nightie at UK's most haunted hotel, Tim. Amanda Riddick and Maria Elliott from Alloa and Fife had returned home after visiting Liverpool's Adelphi Hotel pre-pandemic when they made this chilling discovery on their camera. Two Scots hotel guests captured a chilling figure of a ghost girl in a white nightie on camera while staying in the UK's most haunted hotel. Amanda Riddick and Maria Elliott from Alloa, Clackmanshire, visited Liverpool's Adelphi Hotel pre-pandemic when they made this eerie discovery. The pair decided to take a video as they explored the corridors of the Edwardian building, which dates back to 1914 and is linked with a paranormal behavior. It was only when the pals looked back on the footage that they spotted a spooky figure with long dark hair wearing a white gown staring ominously at them through the window of an unused stairwell. Maria, 41, from Oakley, Fife, told the Daily Record, "We didn't notice anything at the time. It was only when we got back to the room and watched the video that we see it appear in a door window. It spooked us big time. There was a lot of reviews on TripAdvisor describing ghostly figures with long curly hair and a long white dress like a nightie." The friends said they hadn't noticed the figure while walking the corridors, which had appeared in a stairwell that was blocked off from guests. Amanda said, "The doors were not in use, and they were stairs the servants used many years ago. We only seen the figure in the footage. It wasn't seen by the naked eye." The Liverpool landmark, once hailed as Britain's most haunted hotel, has attracted many ghost hunters over the years who have visited to uncover paranormal incidents, Tim. Over the years, guests have reported strange sightings at the old hotel, with one TripAdvisor review in 2006 describing a ghost of a lady with long, curly, dark hair who's been spotted several times. The guest wrote, "We found this place to be absolutely beautiful. It was full of old world charm and character. The one problem I had, which made the stay way more interesting, was the fact that the hotel was the most haunted place I'd ever been to. I saw the same ghost several times of a lady with long, dark, curly hair walking in the foyer and the ballroom. She was wearing a long, circa 1900s white dress." This article can be found, Tim, at darknessradio.com under the news tab. Under the news tab, Tim.
Not the news tab.
You can see it for yourself. I don't know. It looks interesting. It looks like the girl from The Ring reflecting in the glass. I'd call shenanigans. Either that or it's just water stains. Bah, back to the loch with you, Nessie. You and your debunking our ways. It's obvious a girl spirit in a white nightie. I don't see it, though. Sorry, man.
No, it's fine.
Maybe our listeners should see it. Australia's secret UFO histories, abductions, disappearances, and strange backyard visits. That's what this article tells us, Tim. Despite thousands of sightings across the country over decades, it's the issue nobody likes to talk about. This is Australia's secret UFO history. Host of Aussie paranormal podcast Believe, Cade Moore, had talked to dozens of people who have had experienced encounters and even abductions over the 2-year life of the show. For many of them, it's the first time they've ever talked about it, sometimes even decades after it originally happened. There are so many weird things happening across Australia that nobody gets to talk about, and I find people are almost relieved to talk about it, he told 7news.com.au. I've spoken to people who have never talked about their experiences from 40 years ago, and it is genuinely a weight off their shoulders. And UFOs don't discriminate. It's police officers, truck drivers, stay-at-home moms, doctors. If you're in the right place at the right time, you could be a witness too. Sasha, who doesn't want to use her last name, has had many encounters in her 33 years. After sharing her stories with Believe, she agreed to talk to 7news.com.au and recounts one of her last experiences. It was 2011 on a clear day in Adelaide. I saw a metallic ball just above Victoria Road coming from North Haven and heading to Port Adelaide. I was with a friend and her younger sisters, Sasha says. While she was unable to capture any video footage herself, she believes a video posted to YouTube and included on this article was that exact same UFO. So this article will also be at Darkness Radio under the news tab, Tim, so people can go see the video for themselves. Locations and times of day vary hugely, but Moir says there tend to be more sightings in country areas. The area around the former NSW gold mining town of Hills End is insanely active, but central Victoria is also busy. So too far North Queensland and country roads in South Australia. For those looking to drill deeper into their encounters, neuroscientist Dr. Roger Stankovic is here to help. The longtime Sydney Uni researcher turned TAFE lecturer is also the Australia-New Zealand director of the Mutual UFO Network, a U.S.-based international organization that researches UFO sightings. Stankovic puts his steely scientific skepticism to work as a UFO investigator. Over the past 20 years, the MUFON database has logged about 1,000 sightings Australia-wide, and Stankovic, I don't know how this reads, Tim.
How does it spell?
Stankovic. Stankovic?
Stankovic?
Yeah. He's looked into hundreds of them. We analyzed the photos and videos, then put out more information together, Stankovic tells 7news.com.au. We don't get too many hoaxes, and they are usually very obvious, and MUFON doesn't muck about. There's no mucking when it comes to MUFON, Tim.
Oh, that's
It's not called Mukan Fuckabonomic. What the hell did I just say?
Wow.
MUFON. It's MUFON, not Muckfon, Tim.
Yeah.
MUFON doesn't muck about. The investigation involves interviews, pictures, and video analysis, close analysis of weather conditions, cross-checks with flight path databases, and even satellite tracking. But despite all that work, there are a large proportion of reported sightings MUFON simply cannot explain. About 5 to 10%, we just cannot work out what the hell they are, Stankovic says. So, interesting stuff. Lots of UFO encounters in the land down under, Tim.
Yes, indeed.
How about them apples? You like them apples, Tim?
Them is pretty good apples.
All right. This one, Tim, this is an audio daily double. So I thought this was an interesting little story. I'm going to send it to you and allow you to play the audio for our listeners. Just plug it in, Tim. You have to kind of scroll down the page a little bit. There's a couple of other videos, but it's like a TikTok video. And here's where it goes. This is the description behind it. A mom is going viral on TikTok after sharing this chilling memory her daughter claimed to have from what seems to be a past life. Fredrika Severinson shared her story in response to a recent TikTok trend in which parents are sharing the time they realize their kids may be a psychopath. Severinson's video might not fit that exact prompt, but it certainly left TikTokers feeling pretty creeped out. Her clip has nearly 700,000 views, and it began when Severinson told her daughter that her friend was having a baby named Esther. Severinson's daughter, who was 4 years old at the time, responded, and here is that audio.
Tell me about the time you realized your child might be a psycho.
My friend just had a little girl and she'd called her Esther, which is quite an unusual name. So I told my daughter, I said, oh, my friend's just had a little baby girl, it's Esther. And she was about 4 at the time. She responded straight away, oh, Esther Mervyn. I said, no, their name's not Mervyn. Oh, I knew an Esther Mervyn, but she lives really far away and she's in prison. Obviously terrified, I decided to scour the internet for an Esther Mervyn. Couldn't find anything, and then I went on Ancestry.com and I found Esther Mervyn very far away because she was from America and she had been in prison in the 1900s. And when I questioned Heidi again, how did you know Esther Mervyn again? Oh, it was a long time ago. She's dead now. And that was it. And I'm terrified of her.
And I'm terrified of her.
I don't blame her. Yeah.
My moment that my kid showed his true psychotic nature.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've mentioned it in the past, but I still love to tell the story, so I'm going to tell it again anyway, Tim. Mm-hmm. That's what old people do now.
That's all right.
Nathan, who you know is an intelligent, strong, sane man,
mm-hmm.
right? He's an army guy right now. He's serving our military. He graduated with high honors from college,
mm-hmm.
magna cum laude. Just an amazing guy, right?
Yep.
When he was very little, he would tell me things like, my brain says I don't like the color purple. Okay. My brain says I don't like broccoli, Dad. I don't like to eat broccoli because my brain says so. So he would always have these silly little things that his brain would tell him. Mm-hmm. So one day my mom and dad are there and we're talking and I said, oh, yeah, so this is his new thing. His brain tells him, my brain says tying my shoes is stupid, right? And I go, what? Listen, I go, Nathan, come here. And he comes over and I go, what's your brain telling you today? And he stops and looks at my mom and he goes, to kill my mom and stepdad, and then just turns around and walks into the other room. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi-oh.
That was a moment that was an uncomfortable phone call to make. What do you do? At first, I'm like, what did he just say? My mom and dad's jaws at the floor. And my mom says, well, I'm glad he said his mom and stepdad, not you and stepmom.
Right.
And I agree with him on that. But, I had to make that call. And they were unnerved, to say the least.
Boy.
Yeah, I found our retirement home.
Oh.
It's one that I've wanted my entire life. I'm
Really?
trying to figure out how to make this happen.
Huh.
Fall River's most iconic home is about to hit the real estate market. The Lizzie Borden bed and breakfast is going to be put up for sale, according to the realtor selling the companion property owned by the same owner of the infamous murder house at 92nd Street. Suzanne St. John, who works at the bed and breakfast as a tour guide, is a realtor with the Say Both team. She is also a realtor for Maplecroft, the home Lizzie Borden lived in after being acquitted of the murders, which has been on the market again since August. That home was put up for sale for $890,000, is fully furnished, and is almost completely renovated. St. John posted on her Facebook photo of the bed and breakfast location with a for sale sign out front, and the caption, "Ask me what's coming on the market." Wah, wah. When a commenter expressed concern that it would go to a private owner and no longer be open to the public, St. John intimated that there is a healthy amount of reservations coming up on that house. St. John said the bed and breakfast was officially hit the market on January 11th and will be fully furnished with an asking price of $2 million.
Oof.
Donald Woods purchased the Lizzie Borden bed and breakfast in 2004 with partner Leanne Wilbur, and then purchased Maplecroft in February 2018. Renovations on the property continued, but once the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Woods made the decision to retire and to put Maplecroft on the market. St. John says those retirement plans are also why the bed and breakfast is being put on the market. Maplecroft, the home purchased by Lizzie Borden after she was acquitted of the August 4th, 1892 murders of her father and stepmother, is once again back on the market. Built in 1889, it was the height of luxury for Fall River's elite of the time. The beloved home in the Highlands that Lizzie already always sought, but that her wealthy father and notorious skinflint Andrew Borden refused to buy for his family. When Lizzie, then going by Lisbeth Borden, purchased the home at 306 French Street in September of 1893, she dubbed it Maplecroft and had the name etched into the stone stairs. It sold in 2018. For many years, the home was just owned by Fall Riverman, who would often put it up for sale at a high price despite its then dilapidated condition. In November of 2014, it was finally sold to Christy Lee Bates of Texas, who sought to refurbish the home and open it up as a bed and breakfast similar to the 2nd Street home in which the murders took place. She purchased it for a paltry $494,000, but even before that, and putting restoration and furnishings before finally putting it back on the market in September 2017 for double her purchase price. It was purchased in February 2018 for $600,000, $500,000 for the home, $100,000 for the furnishing, and $99,000 less than the current asking price at the time by Donald Woods and Leanne Wilbur, who own and manage, respectively, the 2nd Street Bed and Breakfast. The plan was for a similar operation at Maplecroft. The bad storms immediately following the 2018 sale hampered the $50,000 restoration effort needed to make Maplecroft ready to become a bed and breakfast. Wood's son Ryan moved in to manage the property and began the restoration work, but a number of issues kept it from opening to the public. It eventually was rented out for private rentals and events, including paranormal investigations. The hit Travel Channel series Kindred Spirits featured a paranormal investigating of Maplecroft in its March 2019 effort. It's a beautiful place. I got a chance to, investigate Lizzie Borden and get a chance to walk through Maplecroft last season when we were filming Holzer Files. I got a tour and got to see the entire place, and it was really beautiful. an amazing place. But man, if you have $3 million laying around, Tim, let's do this thing.
Dave, I got a solid financing option for both you and I, my friend. I say it's as good as done.
Is it?
We're going to buy this place. Powerball tonight, $550 million, cash option $411.4 million. I say you put up $5, I'll put up $5. We'll get tickets. Good as done. We're going to win this thing.
I like that. I think it might be wrong, but whatever. Who am I to judge?
Why not? I mean, we got just as good a shot as any. You don't play, you don't win, my friend.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. And here we are, our final story. I love the headliner already. Ghouls, zombies, jinns. Ghost hunters use photography, human bait, and a spirit box to find proof of the supernatural. In late 2013, Mickey Oxengentry and his wife were driving down a steep hill in rural West Java province, Indonesia, when they thought they saw a zombie, Tim. It was an hour past midnight near the Kirkurug village in Sukabumi Regency, and the only light around came from a few houses along the road. Oxengentry, based in the Indonesian capital of Jakarta, was exhausted and at the end of a long day. He had driven up the hill to drop off a friend who had warned him to be careful on his way back and to beware of a sharp bend in the road that was notorious for traffic accidents. It was a turn that's nearly a mostly Chinese graveyard, recalls the photographer, now 39. According to local legend, the cemetery is haunted by the roaming spirits of accident victims. As he approached the bend, something caught his eye. It looked like a zombie you'd seen on Train to Busan, he says, referring to the acclaimed South Korean horror movie. One eye popping out, clothes ripped to shreds, an accident victim, and it wasn't only me. My wife saw it. She told me to drive right ahead, keep my eye on the road and focus. It was invisible in the rearview mirror, but it was there. Shocked by the experience, Oxengentry, who teaches photography and journalism at the Singapura Kurawangsa University in West Java, that sounds like an amazing place to go, told his colleagues about the experience. But with the absence of evidence, none of them would believe me. Come on, show us pictures if it happened, they said. So began Oxengentry's ghost hunting adventure, and he soon became one of the most active ghost photographers in the country. With others from the ghost photography community, the GPC, Oxengentry has been trying to capture ghosts through his lens so that skeptics would be forced to believe in their existence. GPC, which Oxengentry formed in November 2013, has more than 4,200 followers on Instagram. Oxengentry and his comrades hunt for ghosts in empty fields, houses, schools, alleyways, and roadways, cinemas, and in places with tragic histories that have spawned restless spirits. His aim? To make ghost photography a credible, evidence-based discipline. Believing the spectral beings they photograph are jinns, supernatural creatures in Arabian and Islamic theology, the GPC community would, before the coronavirus pandemic, come together once or twice a month, armed with infrared and thermal cameras and their EVP, electronic voice phenomena, sound recording devices. They would look for jinns. While the scientific community tends to regard their endeavors as pseudoscience, ghost photographers see themselves as credible scientists looking for truth amid the legends and myths. Another Indonesian ghost hunting community called the Fotografi Hantu Indonesia, or FHI, has more than 12,000 followers on Instagram and over 200 active ghost hunters around the country. Jakarta-based FHI founder Dika, 29, who only has one name, is part of the Ghost Ranger YouTube channel, which he says is mostly about communicating with spirits. FHI, on the other hand, tries to prove ghosts are a natural part of the world we live in. The word ghost conjures up visions of spooky supernatural phenomena, but these communities and their members believe that research can explain spectral occurrences beyond folklore and horror movie campfire tales analysis. Jinn, they say, demonstrate the vastness of God's creations. Both communities dislike the hyperbolic nature of urban legends, and they feel discredit ghost hunting activities and make them a joke in the eyes of the mainstream. We reject any paranormal point of view because it can be considered shirk, says Oxengentry. Using an Arabic term that means the deification of any one person or thing besides God. He despises local television shows about ghostly occurrences. I believe in more research about ghosts through literature studies and experiments. For his part, Dika, who has a part-time job in retail, says the group's aim is to disprove myths. For instance, the myths that one should not burn, trash, or urinate in places that are considered haunted. That's a weird thing to try to disprove, Tim.
Yeah.
We then do these things to change people's minds about beliefs and which truths can still be called into question. So, I mean, they're out peeing in haunted places?
I guess.
Dika and his fellow FHI members use a piece of equipment called a spirit box, which they claim no other ghost hunters in Indonesia use. It can be bought online for about $100 and captures sounds through radio frequencies. Dika considers it a more accurate machine than the EVP recorder used by the ghost photography community, which he says does not capture sound purely. What we've got here is a sharks versus jets thing, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, an Indonesia West Side Story. In one video, a member of a team can be seen in a decrepit underpass in Bekasi, West Java. Filtered through rough radio-like static, several voices can be heard, one sounding like a tired man, another a middle-aged woman, and the clearest, the menacingly gruff voice of a man with whom the host tries to converse. The voice sometimes sounds like it's speaking backwards and, according to the host in the video, is asking for a piece of hair. Whose hair is it that you want? Another time, a group of FHI members were hunting for shots at an abandoned house in Bogor, West Java, and communicating with each other through their walkie-talkies. One member checked in with the others, asking whether they were in a designated safe zone, and then another replied yes. When they finally gathered, they discovered that none of the members had been in that safe zone. The ghosts of Indonesia are restless, Tim.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's all we got. That's it. So that's it for today. But guess what, Tim? There's a show tomorrow.
Yes, there is.
Well, if you know about that. And a show on Friday, Holzer's Ghosts. I will be speaking with a few very special guests as we reinvestigate Season 1, Episode 2 of the Holzer Files, where we visit the Morris Jumel Mansion, which has one of the coolest ghost stories in history. And we had a chance to investigate it. Make sure you tune in on Friday for that. But tomorrow, the real exorcist, Yoichi Utebi, our guest. That's right. We welcome producer Yoichi Utebi to the program to discuss his thought-provoking film about the supernatural, a film made for entertainment purposes that actually discusses real cultural ideas of the supernatural and what spirits are here to tell us, and how following the wrong path can lead to even the strongest of us down a destructive journey. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the show. So make sure you tune in to the best in paranormal talk radio. And please remember to send in your stories to dave@darknessradio.com or call and leave us your stories on our Voices from Beyond voicemail at 651-300-4977. For that guy, I'm this guy. You've been listening to that show. This is Darkness Radio.